Most people don't realize that there's a battle going on within themselves, within each of us. There's a battle between the negative actions that we've committed in the past, the echoing of which we continue in this life as we extend the power and impact of those previously committed actions within this life, within the fabric of this life, in the choices we make, and calling it, well, this is how I am, this is my personality, these are my situations. Had this or that not happened to me, I would not have been this way. I would have made different choices. That is one. And that is, you would say, completely negative. That is one part of ourselves that we have to battle with. Well, what's the other? The other is the side of you where it's mostly the beneficial choices to your growth as a person. The seeds that you've sown for yourself, given tough decisions you've made where you realized you're about to make a tough decision because you're choosing the path of not least resistance, but you're like the shortcuts. You're avoiding them. You're willing to grow and do the difficult task because it's a lot easier to do the wrong thing. And that's why today's society is in shambles. Today's society is, and it's not going in the right direction. And that's why it doesn't look good for our species. So long as we continue this path of, ease, looking for shortcuts, not learning properly, not disciplining ourselves, not seeking understanding and wisdom, which cannot come from the accumulation of information, which is what you have in the world, where everybody's copying each other, completely ignoring this battle that's going on within. And that's where the wisdom is going to come from, after all. That's where understanding will grow, sprout within you. And that's why it is not possible for anyone to come and steal it away from you as well. But how many people actually are gaining that understanding? Because what you have today are also people who just have memorized or know or learned or wear sound bites, images like you had in the 70s. You had, the flower generation, and with the peace sign. Most people don't even know what that is. When Churchill took out his hand with the peace sign, he wasn't flashing a peace sign. That's not a peace sign. They coined it as such, but that's a different. It's like a symbolism there that has nothing to do with peace. He was not an advocate of peace. He was starving people left and right in Scotland. He was starving people in India to get his way. Nobody actually cares to look into the pages of history. So we just have these images. Anyhow, you can pursue that if you want. But we just love sound bites. There's nothing that has become personally tasted by the individual. That's why you have followers today. A lot of followers. And that's how you have a lot of people having ideas that they want to push at you. When YouTube was just wasn't that big, I used to, when I was a therapist, in the community work that I used to do, community health, I would see clients, I would see patients. So there was this one young boy, and he had a slew of different diagnoses, etc. His mom would just beg me to help as much as I can, this and that. She was at the end of her wits basically with him. He was very difficult for her, for the entire family. But every time I would sit down with him, he would just start telling me how he has now a YouTube channel, and I'm like, okay. And I don't even think I had one at the time. I was a layman, of course, but he had a YouTube channel and he had followers, and I said, okay. So just, you have to find a language that's, otherwise they'll just look at you as, some authority figure or some adult trying to tell them something that they don't agree with. Or so he would basically tell me that he has followers, he has videos, and I said, what are your videos about? What do you do? What are people watching you say? I am here trying to help you, this little child, and you have a YouTube channel and have followers. Well, that's what we have today. That's what we have today. Inexperienced civilization. Why inexperienced? Because many of us don't even have a clue that there's this battle between good and evil. Good, again, not from the outside source somewhere else, but the author of those good seeds is none other than you, the person you see in the mirror. Some good deeds you've done in the past are compelling you to stand your ground, or at least ask questions when you find yourself in a position where you could easily make the wrong choice. Why? Because it's far easier to do what is wrong. It's far easier to destroy, to kill, to harm, than it is to heal. Now, the person has to come to understand this personally. Otherwise, they'll just turn that into a slogan, like a bumper sticker, or put it on a t-shirt, and yeah, we're going to sell it. Make money off of it. No, nothing is moved inside. In Buddhism, we have the petas or pretas. We call them the miserable realm of ghosts. When I look at people, human beings, alive, going through airports, this and that, being on a plane with them, hearing them talk, converse, behave, dress in a certain way, see what they're reading. Like, not too long ago, I walked in through a bookstore in a Western country, and on the way out, I couldn't find any. I spent some time. I wanted to learn a new, language, basically, something to help me with that language. And I'm looking. There's nothing. Same old junk. So sadly, I was walking out, and then I looked, and my eyes caught something. I was like, wait a minute, did I read that right? On the way in and out of the bookstore, you usually have this special, I guess, areas where bookstores are not that often found anyhow in societies these days, except for airports, I guess. And this was also a /electronics store, bookstore /electronics. But anyhow, coming back to the book, it said I think it was The Good Girl's Guide to Killing Your Family, or How to Kill Your Family. I thought I was misreading something, and I was like, I did a double take, and I just read it again, and I'm like, who writes this? Who publishes this? let alone that. Who reads this? Today's society reads that kind of junk. Not just junk, poison. And then we say, why do people harm each other? Why do they kill each other? Why do they go shooting each other? It's like, because we allow such poison, such trash be published. Parents are tolerating this nonsense. These people should be put behind bars. These so-called authors, or put into some, I know we don't have insane asylums anymore because they're all out on the street. To go to San Francisco, go to Los Angeles, you see them. But these people should not be allowed to touch a piece of paper or any, writing application. Nothing. Why? Because they're poisoning society. So you have a society today that is so polluted that is not even living properly. They're not even living to follow they don't even know what Joseph Campbell would call he would say this to his graduate students, follow your own bliss. Today's university graduates, not just high school grads, university graduates, even with masters or even PhDs, have no clue about life. They live through the words of some other people. They have no idea. So in essence, they are the true ghosts, not the ghosts that we call the Peta realm in Buddhism. Those ghosts are real. Those ghosts are truly experiencing pain and misery. They know what pain is. They are seeking comfort. They are seeking satiation. They need to be quenched. That's how thirsty they are. So they know very much that unfortunately they exist in that state and they cannot do anything about it. But human beings, on the other hand, what excuses do we have to be living like ghosts? And that's what we have. Now, in the case of a so-called spiritual practitioner or a meditator, specifically in this path of practice, in the Dhamma, what you have are individuals who are seesawing between the two. Remember I was saying about the negative and the positive within yourself, the battle between the two? Even in them, guess who's winning? So long as they are not pushing forth, so long as they are not challenging themselves, guess who's winning? The negative. And what is the negative? The negatives, as I mentioned in the beginning, are the destructive, harmful, intentional actions we've committed in the past, and the momentum that they've started, the wave, the ripple effect, which carries over all the way to this life. That's why we know about them. Now, sometimes we intentionally carry over, we continue on that path of action, and we can blame it on, well, it's my genes, well, it's my parents, or well, it's my circumstances, blah, blah, blah. But other times, it has a lot to do with our physical, situational circumstances, yes, where bad things happen to the person. Let's say you are born as an orphan, or you're given for adoption, or you are born with one leg shorter than the other, or have some mental issues. Your brain hasn't developed well, or you're born blind. Okay? So these are obviously negative. Okay? They are negative because they take away the opportunities that, had they been there, would have been there for you to live a fuller life. But now you don't have that. So these are difficulties, negative situations where the person has to make the most out of it. So it's a new challenge. It's not the same. A person who's a cripple, a person who has a body part missing is not the same as another person who doesn't have that issue. So I know in our culture we're like, no, we can't say that. We have to be, we have to use a different language. Boo-hoo. Shut up. That missing body part is not going to show up magically because you're using different verbiage, different words to describe the situation, to make them feel better. Okay? I know, I can, I can speak for myself. I have toes that are missing. Portions of my foot are missing. Chunks of my childhood are missing. I wasn't supposed to make it. I spent almost a month in the ICU. So this weak, spineless culture of ours that is worshipful towards using just the right words. Oh, I don't want to offend anybody. Just shut up. Just don't speak again. You have no right to speak at all because you are actually causing more harm to society. Instead of your pursuit to not to hurt anybody's feelings, which is a cowardly, spineless member of society. That's what the person has become. And that's what we have today. What is a ghost? A ghost cannot do anything. But what's our excuse when we do have limbs? We do have, hopefully, the functionality of a brain, emotions, but we do not use them. So guess which part of you is winning? Because now your whole existence is completely situational. So therefore, anybody who controls your situations controls you. That's why human beings have turned themselves into consumers. That's why there's this whole new culture of AI and transhumanism nonsense that people keep pushing in movies and this and that, while polluting today's society between male and female, creating this spectrum of possibilities where there's nothing specific. People are confused. Hormones are completely off whack. People don't know what they are. Soon enough, they're going to say they don't even know, they're not even going to know when they are or whether they are. So this might have become like Descartes' nightmare. I think, therefore I am. It's become silly. It's become terribly sad. So coming back to the meditators, what you have today are meditators that are not growing, that are not going deep at all. So what they have is yesterday's fare that they keep chewing on. Nothing new to talk about. In fact, you're not supposed to talk about it because you need to experience it. So people are not invested enough to fight the good battle, to pull themselves out of the sluggish heedlessness, negligence that we have. That's the real, infectious disease that we have. Everything is pushing that upon us. It's very sad. Culture, civilization is in shambles. And it starts not by the people outside of you, it starts with you. The person has to make a choice to stand and to stand for something. Not what other people are saying, but have an understanding of of what's going on inside of you. Learn to choose the better within you. What doesn't come easy is not necessarily bad, because you have such a tremendous, powerful current against you already, pushing you in the wrong direction. Therefore, you choosing the wrong thing is going to be so easy. Kids getting into drugs is so easy. And that's how they were able to get the drugs into the schools, by the way. They had this program, which was, DARE was called, hyphenated, D period A period R period E period, all capital letters, uppercase. Dare to keep kids off drugs or something like that. That was their slogan. And police officers used to come to schools, etc., advocating. I one time was passing by the elementary classes, and I saw the cop coming out, and he was the police officer, actual police officer, coming to schools and showing drugs to these kids that had never even watched a show on drugs. Well, we need to get the kids to be aware. No, well, thank you, genius. You just planted some terrible things into the minds of these young children. And then they complain, well, there's drugs in the schools. Well, boo-hoo, yeah. It doesn't take a genius to figure that out. Of course, they shut it down a few years ago, but already the damage is done. They've done that for over 20 years, I think. I used to ask questions from the administrator, like, what is this? Like, why? Why are they showing kids, what ice looks like, or I don't know what they call methamphetamines, things like that, to kids that, these were not like the troubled kids. These were for the schools. And this was like, that one was a private school on top of that. And then a year and a half later, all of a sudden, there's a drug problem at the school, which never had happened. So in Buddhism, we have a strong foundational understanding, and we call it causality. You want to know why something's happening? There's only one answer: causality. The causal factors were there. The ingredients were provided for thanks to you. That's why this is happening. So you have two kinds of ingredients. You will choose. Either you choose the negative ingredients from your past, could be physical, as I said, or psychological, this and that, or the tendencies that you carry, the habitual tendencies that you're pulling from your past, because, quote unquote, you're thinking, well, this comes natural. It's so easy for me to choose this versus choosing that, because that doesn't come so easy for me like it does for you, so you're a better person than I am. No. You're choosing the wrong things, because it's going to end you back in suffering, in dukkha. So that's why you have to have a spine. You have to kick your heels into the sand and really hold your ground and say, no, I'm going to push through this. Just like a person who does a fast. When you do fasting, even if, skipping breakfast, let's say, it requires you to make a different decision. To stand your ground and saying, why am I doing this? Is this going to be for some good? Okay, let's do this. So it gives you this integrity back, which we don't have today. We just have empty words. Politicians keep talking about loyalty, truth, justice, all that, not just politicians, legal systems, judges, all that. It's all corruption. It's just words, empty words, because there is lust, there's the absence of virtue. Without virtue, this humanity is going down the drain. Without virtue, there cannot be technological advancements and us to be there to witness the greatness of civilization. Okay? There might be technological advancements and AI might be running the show, But you're not going to have an AI lying, I think. But we do lie, which is a terrible, terrible thing. So virtue is what you're teaching yourself. Virtue is the shield, is also the sword that is protecting you while you are undergoing that. You're in the midst of that battle within you. And that's why we also meditate. You're not stuck. If you're stuck, I mean, you can't get stuck. You cannot get stuck if you are still battling away against those old proclivities, old habitual tendencies, the negative ones that do not bring you joy and happiness. Completely irrespective of your circumstances, by the way. Has nothing to do with your situations, your physical situations, your current status, social status, this, that. Nothing to do with those. It has a lot to do with your choices and whether you want to battle within yourself against those old tendencies of yours. Unfortunately, what we have, people who have given up. That's why most of us are ghosts while living still in a human body, which is terrible because a Peta doesn't even have a physical body. So they have an excuse to call themselves ghosts. What's our excuse? We're just waiting to die. That's what human beings are doing. And then we're fighting death. We're trying to extend our lives. Well, for what? You have rich people today trying to live forever. Like, okay, fine, but why? Why? What do you want to accomplish? Warren Buffett is on his way out. He has billions and billions and billions. Okay, so is that it? How's your virtue? How's your purity of heart? How's the clarity of your mind? Have you attained ultimate peace, tranquility? And no, death is not going to bring you that. You're just going to walk out of a door, enter into another one. And depending on what you've done here, good luck. Good luck. Not a single dime you're going to be able to carry with you. Not even your middle initials, okay? So know which front you're fighting on.